Welcome to Watermelon. These celebrities are not who they pretend to be. The old saying goes, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, but in Hollywood, that's not the case. A memorable name can significantly boost your career, and a bad one can ruin it before it even starts. Let's find out the real names behind the famous faces you know. Jamie Foxx began his career as a comedian under his real name, Eric Marlon Bishop. Getting a spot in stand-up was tough, so he used a genius trick. At some point he noticed that a few comedians were women and they would always get invited. So he signed up under the gender-neutral name Jamie, which would make the organizers think he was a woman.
So every time they saw my name, like, no. So I wrote on the list, because you have to write on the list, I wrote unisex names: Tracy Brown, Stacey Green, Jamie Foxx. Right? Dude was like, yeah, Stacey Green, Jamie Foxx, is she here? I'm like, hey.
The last name Fox was a tribute to his favorite comedian, Red Fox. The pseudonym stuck, and to this day, Eric Bishop is known under that name. This dedicated family guy
I don't have friends. I got family.
earned his nickname while working as a bouncer.
I was a bouncer for 9 years in New York City because of all the problems I got.
Sure, you don't want them like looking for you later on.
Exactly.
So everyone called him Diesel because he was very energetic.
So the other bouncers started calling me Vin Diesel, and it stuck.
And stuck, yeah. Now that there's alternative energy sources, you'll have to be Vin Solar at one point.
And Vin was a shortened version of Vincent, the name of his stepfather. The name he was actually born with is Mark Sinclair. When Bruno Mars started his musical career, he used his birth name, Peter Gene Hernandez. However, when record labels heard the name Hernandez, they tried to pigeonhole him into a specific genre. At that time, Enrique Iglesias was very popular, and producers wanted to make every Latin name artist a copy of him. But Peter wanted to follow his own path. He believed he sounded like he was from another planet, so he changed his last name to Mars.
Mars just kind of came out of nowhere, just messing around. People saying I'm out of this world.
And Bruno was a childhood nickname given by his father.
Bruno, my dad named me Bruno because I guess I was a fat little chubby kid, and there was a wrestler named Bruno Sammartino, and he would just call me Bruno, and so I've been Bruno ever since I can remember.
It's hard to believe now, but Katy Perry began her career as a gospel singer. Her real name was Catherine Elizabeth Hudson, and their debut album was titled Katy Hudson, with only about 200 copies sold. Commercially, it was a failure. A few years later, we saw a new Katy, bold and provocative. To distance herself from her previous failure, Katy changed her last name to her mother's maiden name. Besides that, her producers didn't want her to be confused with the actress Kate Hudson. Another celebrity who didn't want to live in the shadow of his name is Michael Keaton. Born Michael John Douglas, he found himself in a bit of a dilemma when he joined the Screen Actors Guild. The guild has a rule that no two members can have the same working name, and since there was already a well-known actor registered as Michael Douglas, he had to choose a new name. So, he picked Keaton after reading an article about actress Diane Keaton. By the way, Diane herself had to change her name due to the same rule. Born Diane Hall, she chose her mother's maiden name to meet the guild's requirements. Before Miley Cyrus was even born, her parents believed in her bright future, so originally she was named Destiny Hope.
Her name should be...
This is gonna be long.
Destiny Hope is her real name.
As a child, she was always smiling, so everyone called her Smiley, which eventually evolved into Miley.
From the time she was born, you know, she just smiled all the time. We started calling her Smiley, and that evolved into Miley. But even before she was born, I just felt like it was her destiny to bring hope to the world.
And she used that nickname during her Disney Channel career and legally adopted it in 2008. Ben Kingsley was born in West Riding, Yorkshire, and raised in Manchester. But his father was a Muslim with Indian roots, born in Kenya. To honor his heritage, he gave his son a very unusual name, Krishna Pandit Bahanji. Ben himself did actually enjoy it. In his own words, the first name is Hindu and the second name is Muslim. Such a name would never exist in the whole of the Indian subcontinent. It's a nonsense name. Besides that, his exotic name limited his rules because of ethnic stereotypes. So in the 1960s, he chose Ben Kingsley, an easy-to-pronounce name that fitted the Western culture. Lady Gaga was born into an Italian-American family as Stefani Joanne Angelina Germanotta. However, she felt that her name didn't fit her unique and extravagant personality. Inspired by the Queen song Radio Gaga, she adopted the stage name Lady Gaga. This is Austin Richard Post, who chose his stage name when he was a teenager. Some believe it was inspired by the NBA player Karl Malone, but it's not true.
When I was a little kid, I was looking for a nice name like Wiz Khalifa. I just thought it kind of rolled off the tongue, so I went to a rap name generator and typed in Austin Post, and it came up with Post Malone.
The name Freddy Mercury was inspired by the Roman god Mercury, who was known as the messenger of the gods. Perhaps the singer saw his music as a divine gift and himself as its messenger. He was born as Farokh Bulsara in Zanzibar to Parsi Indian parents. Farokh was educated in a British-style school in India where he was called Freddy. Olivia Wilde changed her last name as a tribute to the famous writer Oscar Wilde. After playing Gwendolyn in The Importance of Being Earnest at school, she wanted to honor the iconic poet. However, when you learn her real name, you understand the real reason behind this change. At birth, she was given the name Olivia Jane Cockburn. The Queen of Rap was born Onika Tanya Miraj in Trinidad and Tobago. The name Nicki Minaj was a result of one of her first production deals. She actually didn't want to adopt any stage name, but they convinced her. However, Nicki doesn't like this name and prefers being called by her real name off stage. Cardi B was born into a Dominican Trinidadian family as Bercalis Marlenis Almanzar. Her sister's name is Hennessy, as the famous cognac brand. Matching her sister's name, Bercalis got the nickname Bacardi, but it wouldn't work as a stage name due to trademark issues, so she had to slightly change it.
But for some reason, my Instagram keep getting deleted, and I think it was Bacardi that had something to do with it. So I just shortened it to Cardi B.
So Cardi B is the jam, and I love that.
Bob Dylan was born as Robert Allen Zimmerman. Choosing his stage name, he was inspired by the poet Dylan Thomas. Contrary to popular belief, he wasn't a huge fan of Thomas. In fact, Bob described the poetry as for people who aren't really satisfied in their beds. In his own words, "I've done more for Dylan Thomas than he's ever done for me." However, the name Dylan harmonized well with Bob, and was kind of a variation of his middle name, Allen. Elizabeth Woolridge Grant is the real name of Lana Del Rey. Her first album was released on iTunes under the name Lizzie Grant, but was shortly removed. By 2011, she had become Lana Del Rey, and this is how Lana explained her choice. "I wanted a name I could shape the music towards. I was going to Miami quite a lot at the time, speaking a lot of Spanish with my friends from Cuba. Lana Del Rey reminded us of the glamour of the seaside. It sounded gorgeous coming out the tip of the tongue." Now, let's talk about Charlie Sheen, and this one needs a little explanation. It all starts with his father, Martin Sheen, who was born Ramon Antonio Gerardo Estevez. Martin changed his name early in his career to avoid discrimination and to fit in better in Hollywood, where a more American-sounding name could open doors. Originally, Charlie was named Carlos Erwin Estevez, but he chose to adopt his father's stage surname.
I figured that with how Pop has established Sheen in this business, I should probably carry it on after his history, you know.
And Charlie can be considered as the American version of Carlos. The name Elton John is a tribute to two of his fellow musicians from his early band, Bluesology, saxophonist Elton Dean and vocalist Long John Baldry. He was born Reginald Kenneth Dwight, but the name was associated with some bad memories and he gladly changed it legally.
Name Elton John, it was like a new lease of life. I didn't particularly like being Reg Dwight. It had too many unhappy memories and I hated the word Reg anyway. I mean, it's just a horrible name.
And thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content. And see you in the next one.